and welcome to iteration 2 of my computer science project. We're going to be going over the actual development, iteration 2 now. So this is where I created my objects and my player, enabled movement, and basically created the stepping stones for iteration 3. So first and foremost, I want to go over this function at the bottom. It's called the playing function, the playing state. The reason I want to go over this is because I want to explain that this acts like a while loop in the game.py Python file. This this is in charge of that, and yeah. So this is the while loop in this file. The reason for that being is because, as you can see, it's called the playing state. It's constantly being called in the actual while loop in the main.py file here. So this acts as the while loop here. Shared.py is a file which exports all its stuff to game.py and main.py. The majority of what's held in shared.py is used in main.py. So it holds the object, the toggle, the bobble classes, and all that. And yeah. Secondly, I wanted to go over my milestone, which is there is something on functions. So there are multiple is something on functions, such as the is jump true, is gravity on, is sticky on, is anti-gravity on, is colliding with object. Essentially, these functions check if something has occurred and react accordingly. Mainly in the is colliding with object function, I have different variables such as gravity on, jump true, touching, sticky on, jump true. Again, they all work similarly. They all work in a very similar way, but they control very different aspects. For example, gravity on controls whether falling should occur. Jump true disables jumping. Touching equals true enables that it's touching. All of this is returned back to the collision selection subroutine, and then the is gravity on blah 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 are called. Has been very helpful in the development of my game, and I'm very happy with the is functions, because it allows me to just put my logic inside the is functions, and the rest of them just return values just because checks. So this very complex piece of code, which seems complex, but the only really complexity of this code is identifying where the object is and the buffer zones and all that, which I talked about in my documentation. All of this code is essentially setting values to true or false, depending on whether it's touching or not, which is so complex stuff, but very helpful. So let's get into this game. There is thingies also. There is functions also encourage a very modular solution, so it's very helpful. Perfect. Cool. Let's get into the testing now. So we're going to start with, first and foremost, B1. So this is the collision. So I'm going to turn off the music real quick. This is the collision between the shape and the wall. So currently what the player is standing on is a wall. As you can see, I'm not passing through the top of it. We're going to go and try this side of the wall now. I can't pass to this side of the wall. I can't pass to this side of the wall. And I can't pass through the bottom of the wall either. This vertical and these horizontal are technically walls. I call them a vertical and a horizontal wall, regardless of their orientation. They have the exact same code. The only difference is in the code is colliding with objects, blah blah blah. Here I have the object types, which depending on the object type tells me I can get the width and the height of the object. This will be different. For example, a vertical wall, an anti-gravity potion, a vertical border, horizontal border, and escape door have different object bottoms and object rights depending on their width and height. As you can see, for example, here, a vertical border and a horizontal border, which is essentially just a very long wall. For the bottom of the vertical border, I'm doing the object bottom plus the border height. For the object bottom of a horizontal border, I'm doing the y coordinate plus the border width. So height and width, they're not matching up, and that's because obviously we look at rectangle, and you flip it onto its side. Yeah, you can see that the width is going to turn into its height, and its height is going to turn into its width. So that's essentially what I've done. Going back to my code now, we're going to move on to B2, which is the collision between the shape and the sticky. And what I want to say is that, yeah, the code works very similarly, and yeah, you can see that it works. Next is B2, the collision between the shape and the sticky floor. So when I collide with the sticky floor, a sound effect should play, and yeah, a sound effect should play, and my movement should be slowed down when I'm on it. Yeah, as you can see, a sticky sound has been played, like you're walking on bubblegum almost. Yeah, and you can see that if I walk in a straight line, my speed is greatly reduced. Okay, cool. So B2 works. And again, is sticky on was another is function. Next, I did the collision between the shape and the moving platform. So that's B3, the collision between the shape and the moving platform. So the moving platform's up here. When I jump on top of it, you can see that I'm on top of it. I'm not colliding with this object right on top of me. It's one pixel above me right now, so I'm not colliding with it. We'll come back to that later. And you can see when I'm on the edge, well, as you can see, if I stand still, I don't get moved with it. This is planned. This is it's meant to do this. And also you can see that it pushes me. The sticky floor doesn't the moving platform, it pushes me when I'm moving about, as you can see, like that. Boom, 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 perfect. Next, so we know that the collisions work. Next is between B4, the collision between the shape and the power up. So what's going to happen is that the game carries out the shape on power up collision subroutine. When I collide with this, what's going to happen is, one, my values are going to be set so I can jump higher and I have less gravity pulling me down. So you can see that when I jump, I fall down. That's because of gravity. What the power up is going to do is it's going to ensure that those are going to be reduced. So my jump height is going to be increased, that my gravity is going to be reduced, and there's going to be a stopwatch that's going to appear on the top right corner, and audible cues are going to be heard for when the time is running out. So as you can hear, there was a slurp sound which showed you picked it up. There was a 3 knock sort of thing, and then glass smashing. So now I'm going to move my character around whilst jumping, and you'll see how it's affected me. So this is my normal jump. Now I'm going to pick it up. As you can see right there at the end, I was jumping up and down and I was falling slowly, and then my fall suddenly increased at the bottom. One more thing to note is that when I've actually picked it up, the thing disappears from down here, and as soon as it ends, it reappears. That's intentional, so that obviously the player can't be just picking it up, and like stacking sort of. So yeah, that's what occurs. Cool. Next is B5. So this is movement to the right. So when the D key is pressed, the player should move to the right smoothly. So currently, the D key is being pressed. So you can see that as I'm holding it down. Yeah, so those are like you're listening to me press it down. When I hold it down, it moves to the right smoothly, and then obviously it stops moving when I let go of it. So we know that it works. Moving to the right works. So B5 works. B6 movement to the left. So let's try that. So yeah, B6 movement to the left works. It moves smoothly. Then finally B7. So this is a jumping. So previously I'd had the jump on, so you could jump as many times as you want. This was for just checking for collisions. But now that's not the case. So you can only jump once. Once every collision. So you can see I'm spamming it. You can only jump once every collision with the ground. And that's the important thing. You can hold it, and you'll still only move up once. You can see that if I collide with something, obviously I'm going to fall back down quicker because I've traveled less distance up. So, and the code reflects this by letting me jump more often if there's something that's colliding with me, pushing me down. And you see how many times I'm spamming it, but yet it will only let me do it once every collision with the ground. Cool. So we know that B7 works. Now B8 is gravity. So here the test is that the player exists and gravity acts down on the player. So I'm gonna just go up here and I'm gonna jump down. As you can see, I'm being pulled down. That is gravity. Gravity does in fact work in my game. I'm being pulled down. And then that was B8. Now B9 is the skin selection. So here it ensures that the skin that I've selected in the locker state is carried over. So if we look now, you can see I have the freaky skin equipped. If I restart my game really quickly and I go back here and I choose a different skin. So for example, I choose the funny skin. You will hear an audible cue. Bum bum. And you can see that the funny skin is here. Next, you can choose the sick skin, and the sick skin is there. And then you can choose finally you can choose the angry skin, and the angry skin is there. Perfect. So we know that B9 skin selection works. Then it's the B10, which is the escape door, which is the escape door collision. So if we jump here, boom, boom, wait for the moving platform to come back to carry us to that spot. Here we're going to jump, boom, collide with that. This is the game end screen. I'm going to populate this in the next iteration, have it display what skins I've unlocked, and also the fact that I've won the game. So if the player collides with this, it means that they've won the game. And then, as you can see, I can then go back and then start again and play the game again. And you can see that settings are still carried over from initially before I started the game for the first time, and that things just carry over perfectly. So cool. So that was the escape door collision. Then B11, the S effects and music are present. So I'm gonna switch back so we can have everything. So if you listen to the music now, when I click play, the music should change to the gameplay background music. And as you can see, it does. And you can hear the sound effects as well. And then, as you can see on this state, I can still hear the gameplay music. However, this is intentional. When I click here, the music goes back to the main menu music, which is what we want. Cool. And then collision between the shape and the border. Naturally, if a player finds themselves playing my game, and they try and leave the map, as I'm doing now, you can see that it's not letting me. As much as I try, I can't pass this. I can't pass the invisible wall here. Even with the power up, I just can't. There's no way of me doing it. There is just no way of me doing it. Yeah, so that was B12, collision between shape and the border. So yeah, so that's so far what my game is looking like. And I need to go now, move on to the next iteration. Yeah, so onto yeah, perfect. So onto the next bit of code.